Episode 91 this week, When the Bough Breaks. This one, we start off with a young child running away from his father to avoid calculus, apparently, and he runs smack dab into Commander Riker, who picks the kid up and tells the father not to worry about it, and then the father drags his son away because he's embarrassed that his son ran into the first officer of the ship. Riker goes to the bridge, and Picard tells him they have a mystery, and they found a cloaked planet, apparently. Riker was intrigued by this. Apparently, the planet Aldea had been cloaked. Nobody saw the planet. It was like a massive cloaking device, like a Romulan would have for a ship, but it was for the whole planet. Then two members of the population of Aldea transport to the Enterprise, and they're like, oh, well, we're not feeling well and your lights are too bright, but we wanted to talk to you. And Picard lets an away team go down there. Riker and Troy and Yar get down to the planet Aldea, and they're like, yeah, they're advanced, we have the cloaking system, but we can't have children anymore, so we would like yours. We'll give you something in return. And the Enterprise crew are like, whoa, you can't do that. And they're like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, we don't buy and sell children. That's like hundreds upon hundreds of years in our past. And the Aldeans are like, fine. And they transport the away team back, and then they start beaming random children off the Enterprise into the clutches of the Aldeans. Wesley Crusher gets beamed aboard with like 5 or 6 other children of various ages. And Picard's like, hey, you can't do that. And they're like, oh yeah, watch this. And they fling the Enterprise halfway across the galaxy. The Enterprise goes back, and Picard feigns doing negotiations. He takes Crusher with them and uses some sort of made-up Starfleet protocol so she can go with him. She goes to visit Wesley, and they like very poorly, vaguely do a blood test where Crusher's like, I'm gonna slip you this thing into your hand. I hope you don't accidentally take blood from someone with it. Wesley Crusher's like, oh no, that would be horrible, Mom. And then he does so, and the Aldean just stands there while they're more or less open about it. But she takes the sample she needs so she can figure out what's going on with the Aldeans. The children are pretty much well taken care of and happy, except for Wes, who's trying to learn about their computer system so he can figure out how to get off that planet and back to the Enterprise. The Aldeans are a culture where they somehow figure out what you're supposed to be career-wise, rather than having you in a career that you aren't suited to do or meant to do, apparently. Then, while the fake negotiations are happening, Crusher figures out that the Aldeans have been basically poisoning themselves with radiation due to the cloaking system. That's why they can't have children anymore. So, they had so much radiation damage that they were sterile, so that's why they kidnapped the Enterprise children, although they only took like 6 of them, so it wasn't going to do very much for them. They thought they'd repopulate the planet. They did not plan well for that. Not in the least little way did they plan well for that. But eventually Picard gets the children back. He's like, haha, we tricked you, but we found out what was wrong, and Dr. Crusher can reverse it, and you'll be fine in a couple of days. And you're like, really? And Crusher's like, yeah, really. And they're like, well, okay. Well, Wesley and the children get back home. Everything's fine. The one kid says he'll take calculus, even though he doesn't really want to take calculus. And the dad's like, that's great. And then one of the little girls goes to the bridge with Wesley so she can thank Picard. And he stands there kind of awkward while the rest of the bridge crew laughs. That was pretty much it. Some interesting notes on this one. You can tell that the name of the planet was not Aldea originally, because Riker's clearly saying some other word, and Aldea was looped into the audio after the fact. And also, Will Wheaton's brother and sister were two of the characters that were the children. So he got his real life siblings to be extra children on this episode. I believe the only time they appeared on an episode with Will. But pretty much that's episode 91.